Hello there, IELTS students. In this tutorial we're going to look at how to describe a pie chart for IELTS Academic Task 1. This tutorial is divided up into 3 parts. First we're going to look at the language, then I'm going to give you some tips, and then we're going to look at an easy essay template, 4 paragraphs, really simple, and it's a good way to prepare for the IELTS. So grab a pen and paper. You're going to need it because I'm going to give you lots of terms, lots of tips, and I think it would be really beneficial for you if you did actually write these down as you hear them, because it'll help you to remember them. 2, you'll have them down there on paper as an easy reference, and 3, it will improve your listening skills, and of course it will improve your speaking skills, because as you write them down you'll be hearing the perfect pronunciation, well, native English pronunciation, even if I do have a little bit of an accent from the north. But it doesn't really matter. It's not going to destroy your IELTS speaking exam. All right, let's get going. So the language for portions. I'm going to give you a variety because you cannot always use the numbers. Yeah, because it gets boring and you've got to show a range of vocabulary to pick up points for lexical resource. So if it's 60%, you can say nearly a third. Nearly a third. If it's 52%, you can say over a half. Over a half of all respondents, or over half of all respondents replied yes, or over half of all the respondents were from Scotland. If it's a small percentage, 2%, 3%, 1%, you can say a small fraction. A small fraction of sales originated in Vietnam, for example. You can also say exactly 30% of students studied economics, for example. Okay, if it's around a quarter, 24%, for example, 26, you can say roughly a quarter of respondents. And if it's around 3/4, 75%, 74, 76, whatever, you can say around 3/4 of sales were from Nigeria or wherever. Now then, hopefully you've still got your pen in your hand. I'm going to give you a very useful sentence that you can definitely use when you're describing a pie chart. All you have to do is identify the largest section and the smallest section, and then basically memorize this sentence. It is clear that X represents the largest portion, whereas Y is undoubtedly the smallest. Let me put it in context. It is clear that education represents the largest portion, whereas the environment is undoubtedly the smallest. One very easy sentence, and you can use it in every single pie chart essay. Okay? Well, not every single, there may be some cases where you cannot use it, but just as a general rule, it's good to have a sentence like that. Now, some more language. We can say about half the amount of televisions were from Iraq or wherever. Precisely a third of the televisions were sold in Glasgow, wherever. Almost a quarter, a small fraction, a large sector. Copy all of those down. Use them. Use them. Show the examiner that you have a variety of language. You've got a large lexical resource. Now, we're also going to need the language for comparisons. So, if we're making comparisons, here are some set phrases. We can say, twice as many people prefer Kellogg's over, I I don't know, supermarket Y own brand or whatever. Yep. Nearly 4 times as many people listen to IELTS podcast than IELTS whatever. Okay. Next one. Whereas sales for X were just 10%. Okay. So yeah, I'll just link those together. What we could say is, in 1955, approximately 3/4 were male, whereas in 1960, this had fallen to just under 1/5. Okay, that's a useful little phrase there, whereas. Okay, especially when we were making the comparisons. Now, if we're following the 4-paragraph model, we're going to finish with a summary, just outlining the overall characteristics of the graph, of the pie chart. Here are some perfect sentences you can use in this final paragraph. Okay, we can say, in all countries observed, the largest amount of sales were seen in Wales. Okay, we can say, overall, the majority of the countries experienced XYZ, or overall, the majority of the people interviewed said they preferred beef, or whatever. Okay, another sentence, overall, it is clear the amount of sales, bam, bam, bam. Next one, to summarize, the most marked change is the jump from vegetarianism to veganism, or whatever. And the final sentence you can use is, overall, amongst the 6 regions, 5 make up the largest expenses, followed by 3 representing the lowest. Or to be a bit more specific, overall, amongst the 6 regions, England and Wales make up the largest expenses, followed by Scotland representing the lowest. Okay, so another sentence there that you can basically copy and paste and drop into the essay, assuming it is in context. Okay, so be careful there. It has to be relevant. You can't just copy paste it and dump it into any essay. So make sure it's relevant. Now we're going to look at some tips. Okay, sometimes with IELTS academic task 1, it's impossible to compare the information. Maybe you've got a table followed by a pie chart and they just don't correspond. Yeah, so in this case what you do is just write a paragraph about the pie chart and a paragraph about the table. That's it. Next one, next tip, avoid stating opinions. Okay, now imagine we've got a pie chart showing holiday visits to Germany in 1980 and holiday visits to Germany in 2010, and there's been a change. There are more visits nowadays, and maybe we want to say it's because of the popularity of Berlin. Maybe we know, because we have a friend in Germany, that the change is because Berlin has become very trendy. We do not mention it, okay? We never put our opinion in there. All we have to do is summarize the data. We don't have to put anything of the reason why, unless it's actually in the data. But if it's your opinion and you know why sales have increased, why the prices of oil has increased or whatever, doesn't matter. Don't put it in there. Just stick to what's on the paper. Next tip. Check the time frame on the pie chart. Yep. Does the pie chart show you information from 1960? In which case you're going to use the past tense. Does it show you information from the current year, which you'll use the present, or is it a forecast, in which case of course you'll use the future tense? So check the time frame, use the appropriate tense. If you want to pick up more points, extra points, use a passive construction. Okay, grammatical range and accuracy. Show a range of the grammar structures you know. So use a passive construction. That's with the verb to be. The next one, which is very important, focus on getting the appropriate data from the graph into your writing. I'm going to go into more detail about this point in the next slides. Okay, 2 seconds, the next points. Now, another tip which is very valuable, especially if you're going to write your pie chart using the 4-paragraph model that I'll explain in a few minutes. What you need to do is learn how to paraphrase. Okay, and it's not a difficult task. What it consists of is reorganizing the information using a different structure, but so it stays the same. Okay, so for example, if we have some pie charts and the title is Holiday Destinations Chosen by Welsh People 1955-2005. Your first sentence in this paragraph, in this essay, if we're following this 4-paragraph model, will just be a very, very simple paraphrase of the title. We're not complicating things, we're just going to paraphrase it, and we've got maybe 10 or 15% of the essay out of the way, and it's a perfectly acceptable introduction. So I'll just go over the title one more time. Holiday Destinations Chosen by Welsh People 1955-2005. Your first sentence, the pie chart shows, or the pie charts show, the vacation preferences of Welsh people over a 50-year period starting in 1955 and finishing in 2005. Now, a side note here, learn the nationalities. Yeah, learn that people from Vietnam are called Vietnamese. People from England are obviously English, Canadian, from Canada, Canadian, from the United States, generally considered American. This is important because you can it just gives you more flexibility when you're paraphrasing. Yeah, because using the nationalities, you're saying the same thing and you can adopt it into different structures. Okay, so that's just gives you a little bit more flexibility there. Now, those were some tips just regarding your general preparation. Now, if we're actually in the exam, what I would like you to do is follow what I call a 3-step prep. Okay, this is an adapted process, an adapted model that a friend of mine, Dominic, on his blog, DCIELTS.com. Go check that out. I'll put the links in the post. But here I've adapted it from that. Okay, and it's a very practical process you can use for writing your IELTS academic task 1 pie chart. First of all, what you do is 3 steps. Step 1, prepare. Look for the biggest and the smallest sections. Analyze the time, the dates, and the tenses and the measurements. Okay, is it in kilos? Is it in kilos per hour? Is it in square cubic feet? Whatever. Okay, have a look at that data. Also, when you're analyzing, see the big picture. Don't go for the details. This is a summarizing task, and I want you to just have a look at the overall picture. What is happening? Are sales increasing? Are they falling? Has the portion increased? Has it decreased? Okay, and in this step 1, you look at it all, and then it's very important that you select and report the main features. Step 2, organize this information into 2 paragraphs. Small mistake there, sorry. So following the 4-paragraph model, we've got the first paragraph is a paraphrase of the title, and then we've got 2 body paragraphs. In the first body paragraph, what we're going to do is we're going to put the information that we've organized in this step. So here we're going to look for the major trends, major groups, any exceptions. We're going to group similar ideas together. Okay, that's going to be the first paragraph. Paragraph 2 will also be similar. These are your two body paragraphs where we put the information that we've analyzed in that second step, where we are putting it into the paragraphs and we're going to write about it. It's basically deciding what we are going to write about. Okay, so then we write the essay using the template. Okay, we've got the first, well, I'll explain the paragraph model in a second. In this stage, when we're writing it, remember to check for errors once you've finished and follow your essay plan. If ideas pop into your head, ignore them. Just follow your plan. It'll keep you calm, it'll keep you on track, and it'll keep you within the time limit. Okay, so don't deviate from that. Now, that's the 3-step plan. Now we're going to look at the template which we can use to structure the actual final essay. So paragraph 1 will be 1 sentence. Okay, we're just going to paraphrase the title. Paragraph 2, groups of information from the organization we did in step 2. Paragraph 3, same, groups of information collected from the organization in step 2. And then paragraph 4 will be 1 or 2 summary sentences showing the major overall trends from the graph. Okay, and in this stage we will use the summary sentences that I talked about at the very beginning. Okay, so write this down. Paragraph 1 is the paraphrase of the title. Paragraph 2 and paragraph 3, we're going to just put the groups of information that we've organized previously. And paragraph 4, 2 summary sentences, the major overall trends.